welcome to the Latte Dog's Content Creator Cast. I'm the host, Duke Latte, the Latte Dog, and I'm joined with...
Bet on Rats.
That's right. State your names and your positions in your band, please.
My name is Don. I play the bass.
My name is Dan. I sing and play the guitar.
I'm Midhead, and I play drums.
I'm Derek, and I play guitar.
Well, okay then. Let me see. First question. Are there any other names that you may go by any chance? Are there any past pseudonyms that you may claim?
Not really.
No.
Not really. Because I have the dumbest name in the planet. My name is Dan Smith, so it's like nobody can get any simpler than that.
Mm.
Did you mean our band?
More along the lines of possibly the band, or pretty much any one of you. Like, if any one of you were in like musical acts before, or something along those lines.
No, not really. My memory span's terrible, so I'm just bet on Rats.
Okay.
Well, Fred and I were allegedly connected to a punk band called the Jub Jubs, where we allegedly went as Jake Dog Jub and
Fatty Jub.
Fatty Jub. I think those are unsubstantiated claims.
Okay. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a parody punk thing.
I see.
Yeah. But those rumors are unsubstantiated. It's fake news.
Fake news, I see. All fake
That's
news.
Kind of news.
The only kind of news.
It's all fake if it's bad against you. Just remember that. Okay,
Publicity.
What?
That sounds real weird.
Okay, let me say, access of everyone, what do you create, would you say?
Music.
Of course, yes.
Well, me personally in the band, I go.
You're beating this into the ground. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
I see. Let's see. Usually, okay.
But I've also gotten a little bit more into arpeggios, so sometimes I go bum 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 bum. I do that a lot too. Yeah, arpeggios are hard though, so you know.
Our whole goal is to become an a cappella band eventually. He's gonna
Yeah, you gotta hold it down. It's the natural progression. From folky punk stuff to acapella. We're coming for you, Pentatonics.
I see.
It's our own Christmas album.
The Bet on Rats Christmas album.
Right.
I see. Well,
Good idea.
Yeah, every song's gonna end with cha.
How long have you known each other? I have a bunch of questions here. I'm just gonna skip around on them. How long have you known each other?
Don and Fatty have known each other the longest.
Yeah, I think I met when I was a freshman and Don was a junior in high school.
We was weaned together.
Yeah.
I was the most recent within several months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we feel like we've known him a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
And I've known Don for probably the good portion of about 8 years, but like we haven't really hung out all that much until we started this kind of thing going on. So 3 years.
Yeah, about 3 years. I mean, like, other than that, we just got fucked up. together at random times.
Yeah, it was good.
Great stuff. Great
Yeah.
stuff. Great times. Anyways,
It's become more productive since then.
how much more productive? Mind if I ask?
Well, like, yeah, like in 2005, it was like, I'll bump into someone at a party, or like go over there and drink because he like lived like 2 blocks away. And then Dan like moved to Seattle and stuff. Was it Seattle?
It was Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, and then he came back. It was just a weird thing that we wound up jamming together. Fatty had been randomly just hanging out with this dude, getting stoned and playing guitar. He's like, yeah, my buddy, I've been jamming with this guy every once in a while. And then he brought his buddy over. It's like, oh shit, I know this guy. And Dan needed a demo recorded because he was putting together a band.
Yep.
And he came over to my studio. We busted out a demo, and then I wound up playing bass for him because I heard him ask Fatty like a couple times. Like Fatty at the time couldn't do it, I think.
Yeah, I just had too much going on, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to be that guy in the band that can't be there when needed,
Right.
and only be there part of the time. That guy sucks.
So the short answer is we went from just drinking casually at parties to being more productive by writing music all together.
I see.
Yeah.
And then, we added Fatty like a year later after me, Dan, and this guy Nate were jamming. We did a 4-track album. It's available on iTunes, Spotify, and all that shit.
For cheap.
For cheap. For monies. We recorded a 4-track EP.
Is that
Did it for about a year.
the Easy Now EP? That one?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, the easy EP.
Yes, I remember figuring out about you through that EP. Actually, it's a funny story how I found out about you. I think
Yeah,
I think I may have told you this one already. Through the private messenger on Facebook, like it was.
Yeah, but we can talk about that as private.
Make that message public now.
Okay, so yeah, I recall. Let me think. Well, it was it was one of Glenn Fricker's videos. I cannot remember which one it was. I think it had something to do with the sex kittens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think you made that. I think you may have made that a comment on that video in particular, or something like that. And that's how I found out about your YouTube channel and found your acoustic unplugged version in someone's bathroom of "So the Sun May Set."
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And
That's my favorite show still.
whose bathroom was that, anyways? Or is that not something you would make public?
It was our friend from the Just Luckies. Her name is Casey. They're a great band too. But she invited us over. She said, "Do you want to play? We have this like artist showcase going on at her house." And we were like, "Cool." And she said, "We're gonna have you play in the bathroom." And we thought she was kidding. But when we showed up, she was like, "We'll get in the tub." And I was like, "Okay."
So, our old drummer was sitting on the toilet,
Yep.
shitting all over the place. Dan was standing in the shower, keeping it nice and clean, and then, it was really weird. The acoustics in a bathroom are unmatched. But yeah, it was fun. There wasn't a lot of room for a pit, but, we opened it up anyway.
It was sanitary.
I see. Yes. Yeah. A little while later, I found your Bandcamp link and got your Easy Now EP, and yeah, and I remember listening to that a lot, really.
Thank you.
And I was really, and when I figured out from your Facebook page, you were going to be releasing a full-length album, I was really excited, really, and. By the way, great work on the album. By the way, I have it.
Thank you so much.
When the first day it came out on Bandcamp.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes. So Yes, I should be thanking you for allowing me to use your songs, and they're going to be the intro and outro for this podcast as well.
Which, yeah, that's a huge honor. So,
Yeah.
thank you very much. And also thank you for asking. A lot of people would have just probably done it. So,
Yeah, I definitely have a think about making sure to get permission. Really, if an artist already by default gives permission, that's that. But I wanted to make sure if I was going to use anything from you, I wanted to get your permission from you, of course.
Oh yeah.
How much are we getting paid?
I don't know.
$1 million.
I didn't think about negotiations. I just to them. I was just like, take it.
We just say yes to everything, like after a drink or two.
Yeah.
So like keep that in mind, you know.
I appreciate it. Anyways, let me see. What other questions? Are you? What projects are you looking forward to working on, really? Or like, are there any current projects that you're working on, like both short term and long term, by any chance?
Yeah, I mean, we have enough material to start the next album for sure. We're kind of holding off on it right now just to kind of play this one for a bit. But we could definitely have another album out within a year. I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward. I bought a bunch of Warhammer minis, and they're a project. They're fun to paint.
Oh fuck yeah!
They're fun to paint, though. That's a project.
The attention to detail.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And once you get those bad boys in on your little dungeon card, and you're like, man, why did I go with polka dots on that? Drawing too much attention away from the Horned Reaper.
Leopard print goblin, man. I'm a goblin.
Okay. Let me see here.
But yeah, we all got a couple projects going on. Our guitar player Fatty owns and operates a video game store, like buy and trade new and used video games. So that's pretty cool. Mid is he's like a student. He learns stuff.
Yeah.
He's graduated.
Yeah, I graduated.
I'm actually going off to university after this year soon.
Where at?
I hopefully to a college called DigiPen in Spain. Actually, I plan on going into video game design.
Nice,
Oh,
man.
that's
DigiPen's
sweet.
great.
Yeah, you've
I mean,
heard of it?
Personally, but I've heard of DigiPen.
Oh yeah, it's there are like three main bases. One's in Redmond, Washington, the other's in Bilbao, Spain, and the other's in Singapore. Yeah, so I plan on going to Spain, really.
Yeah, man. Good luck with that.
Sure thing. Thanks for that. Anyways, I recall seeing the production process of your Facebook through your Facebook out videos with this album. Really, you mix in. Who's the one who mixes the album and songs?
Yeah, that's me. I do the recording and mixing and mastering for us. But I thought it'd be fun as we put together most of the album in about a month or two, and then everything else just dragged right out. We had a drummer switch in the middle of that. We got rid of our other drummer, and we found Mid-Hat.
Yay.
We've got 3 different drummers on the record. Mid-Hat, guy Ryan Schubert from another band in Grand Rapids called Antilogical.
They're great.
And then I do drums on 6 of the songs. And so being good enough at drums to fit on an album was a bit of a process. So that took a while. Took us a while to just get everything to where we were happy with it. Tempo maps and all that. So it was a big process. So as we were getting close to releasing things, it's like, well, we should probably hype this a little bit. And so we, I don't know, there's probably like 4 or 5 videos where we, just put it out in the Facebook world, like, hey, by the way, don't forget about us. Like, our new album's going to be really cool. Like, look at this. One of the bits that you used for the start of your segment, Burn the Pages, that was actually the first thing that Mid-Hat got to drum on, the end of Burn the Pages. The whole end of the song, we did a full analog path on. And so for all the reverb and that, like, cute little harmony part where it's just acoustic guitar and bass and 2 vocals, me and Dan went down to the end of our building outside of the studio in this like really echoey part in the hall by our elevator, and we set up a couple mics and the mixer and the reel-to-reel and just recorded it the way like an old folk band would record if they were looking for a really reverby sound rather than like slapping on a plug-in. We just moved the mic far away from us and found an echoey room to do it.
Yeah, more practical.
Yeah, it was really fun. And then we spliced in a live practice for the end of the song, which is actually the first bit of recording that Mid-Hat appears on with his drums. That that whole part. Yeah. And then Mid-Hat actually did the drums on Gravestone on the Hill too. And so
that's actually one of my favorite songs off the album. Actually, really. I just like that song really a lot.
Thank you.
Anyways, you did a series of videos, rehearsal videos on the YouTube channel Atmospheric Promotions or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. We played a show in May last year at our friend Sam's house. Sam runs Atmospheric Promotions. It's kind of she sets up a lot of shows in the local area, and she's kind of operating like a label too. We're kind of part of that. But yeah, one night after her final show at her house, our friend Ben Baker, who is Atmospheric Promotions, he's like the photography guy for the group. He just came and filmed one of our practices and filmed everything in practice basically, and then put it out on,
including SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, you saw that. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's us.
I hope we don't get sued.
SpongeBob's gonna sue our ass.
It's our own version, but we changed the lyrics.
He's gonna soak up whatever money we have.
Abs.
Oh man.
Okay. Yeah, I made a playlist of pretty much all the songs that you basically performed with this thing. And I'm looking at these. One of them here, it's called Cynic Bomb, really. And let me just. And if I look on my album, and if I look on my copy of the album here, if it, give me a second. Yeah, that's not on there. Is that song going to be released sometime in the future?
Yeah, hopefully. That's one of the planned songs for the next album.
I see. Okay. I cannot remember how it goes since it's been a while since I actually watched these rehearsal videos. I actually watched them as they were going out, really. When they,
okay.
I believe, they were your video for your video for Attraction was one of the first videos on the Atmospheric Promotions channel, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and Cynic Bomb it's not on an album yet. It'll be on the next one. We've done a couple songs that are out there in the internet land that you can find us performing. It's just not on an album yet. Another one's What's that song called?
Smells like Teen Spirit.
We went to Chicago and played live in this
It's
dude's
called Every
basement.
Single Shard.
Every Single Shard, that's
Every
right.
single shard.
Yeah, that's another new one that you'll be able to check out. We did Every Single Shard and Attraction to Reaction in a dude's basement in Chicago. And he runs, it's pretty much just like, a recording studio, but he gets like, I think it's like 3 or 4 people with GoPros, and they just like stand around you and film you while you do it. And then he syncs it all up, and it's a really cool service that he does. It's a good way to get, good way for bands to get their stuff out there.
Video out. Yeah.
Yeah, like high quality, like
Multiple angles is nice.
multiple angles. It's not just like one microphone recording everything. Like,
Yeah, so if the guy moves somewhere, the audio shifts as well.
yeah, when you watch the Ben Baker videos, like if Ben like goes and stands over more close to the guitar amps, you'll obviously get a little bit more guitar in the mix, and it's like the shifting thing. As any like DIY like
Right. If you don't
camcorder
catch me just right, I look horrible.
Okay, so
Dan kind of like the dress. Like from certain angles he looks green, but from the other angle he looks gold.
Yeah.
So you got to be sure to film him from the left.
I'm a chameleon.
okay, so let me just I'm trying to.
Do you have a question for my cat? She's sitting here on the couch with us, like acting like she's part of the band. She's not. She's not. Again, LMNOP. Do you want something to do? Yeah. She's acting like she wants to be asked.
She's
a question.
responding like she normally
Okay,
responds.
where does your cat draw inspiration? I don't know.
Food.
Yeah.
Food dish litter box.
Okay.
She also likes long naps in the sun.
Yeah.
And sometimes she likes to eat her food so fast, and then she barfs it up and eats it again.
And when you ask her a question, she likes to take a long pause.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Who did the artwork for the EP really?
Not-
Sorry, who was that again?
That was Matt Renneker. It was a Kendall grad illustrator. Friend of our old drummer. Nate hooked us up with him. I think we went with Matt because Nate's like, oh, he'll draw something brutal. And he totally did. He totally did. It looks like some like fucked up scene from a comic book that my parents wouldn't have wanted me to read.
Yeah, I always thought it
Something
looked
out of Heavy Metal Magazine or something like that. I don't know.
like it looked like the pamphlet from the airport that tell you like how to like secure your neighbor's like mask that drops down.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It was like that style of art. The
yeah.
helpful
Yeah.
pamphlets.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
yeah. Yeah, it's very like being on an airplane. But yeah, he drew something really brutal, and I think the album artwork intimidated some people because people are so afraid of nipples these days that like,
I have nipples.
oh god, it's obscene.
Everything has nipples.
Even nipples have nipples.
Some of them do.
Yeah, they call it a nub.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. Like, I think maybe some people thought it was like kind of sexist, or like we were doing something that was supposed to be sexy
And-
wrong.
And
I
I
don't
can't
know.
stress enough that no.
Porn has never-
We weren't.
Never.
Don't call it. It's not even porn. It's just art. It's just something we thought up. We were all sitting around talking about what did we want for our album cover, and Don said, "What about like somebody breastfeeding a baby rat?" And I said, "That's metal as fuck." And then it became our album cover, and that was it. But the artist took it that way, and that's what we wanted. We never want to tell them exactly what to draw.
Yeah.
We give them direction and then have them be their artisty self and do that.
How many albums have you looked at the cover and just boring as shit? The first time I saw that image, I was like, this is fucking amazing.
That was before he was in the band, so...
Yeah,
I want whatever those rats are sucking on.
That's what she said.
Sorry.
That's just honesty. It's just honesty.
Yeah.
It's,
But it's cool. It's still, I think it still makes people say. The new album, it's definitely less brutal, but I like the art even more. Our friend Najid Van Pelt did the art for Braille, and for that she took one of Dan's lyrics that we had assigned her, and we kind of came up with a concept. The woman digging in the snow, and she's just got a really great eye with watercolor, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. We had a few nice comments about that. Tom Crandall from Punk News, especially, like, that made me feel proud. He's like, hey, don't skimp on your album art, kids. Like, when he reviewed our album, it's like, yes, somebody gets it. Somebody likes our shit.
yeah. I like the watercolory feel of the Braille album card art as well. Really, I think it's really suiting for it. Anyways, let me see. Is there any significance to the name Bet on Rats by any chance?
Depends on who you ask. Honestly, it was just something that we said. Really, like, that's we were called Bears Who Eat Birds, because I don't know where I pulled that from, and then that was just too silly, I guess. So I just came out Bet on Rats. But a lot of people are reminded of the rat race in this old cartoon from the 80s called All Dogs Go to Heaven. There's like a rat race beneath a dog track, and it's kind of like betting on rats, I guess. But really, it just came out of nowhere. It just came out of us just being drunk and silly.
Just like the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's in a name, right?
Uh-huh. Like, with my name, the Latte Dog, it just sort of came from me fiddling around with the pen tool in Photoshop. And it just sort of looked like a dog. And I already made this sort of image of somewhat like a latte thing, and I just added to that, and then, boom, the Latte Dog.
Yeah.
What?
See, sometimes it just comes out, and it works great. I like Latte Dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
You a latte guy, or you?
I drink my coffee black, actually.
Oh yeah, black and beautiful, like my soul.
Just like my heart.
It's black and bitter, and it burns your mouth a little bit. And I may have left it on the burner too long.
I
but
need
that's
a little bit of sugar.
No sugar. No sugar.
Bit of sugar, just a little.
I do a lot of sugar, a lot of cream. Well, diversity's key.
This is why we work as a band, is because we all like our coffee different.
That's really kind of neat that we all just figured that one out too. We all like our coffee different.
It's the defining secret of our success. But it is nice, like, you know, like, if the four of us are sitting around a table all drinking coffee, which has never happened. We'll never accidentally drink each other's coffee, because we'll look at it like, no, that's not mine. That's not mine. That's not mine.
Yes. Well, okay. Are you affiliated with any group/communities by any chance?
Well, I would say the punk scene here in GR. There's a lot of bands in Grand Rapids.
The West Side Rebellion.
West Side Rebellion. Yeah, I don't know. We're definitely part of the little punk scene here in GR, and it's kind of folksy. It's kind of homey, like
Noisy.
Yeah, you see a lot of the same 90 people at a lot of the shows, which is cool. I feel like we really do have a home here. I've been in other bands, and it's like you feel kind of pedestrian, like going through, and like you play to different people every time you play, and you play with different bands all the time, and it's like I haven't gotten a sense of community like I have with our band. We got, I don't know, like I don't know how it works exactly, but people seem to have adopted us.
Yeah, it's like a family. You know, kind of. You know, it's like a family. Not to put it, it's like a loose family. You know, we hang out, we care for each other, we support each other. It's a great community of just people playing good music together and having a good time doing it. You know.
Yeah, I understand that. Let me see. Are you collaborating / have you collaborated / do you plan to collaborate with any other creators or bands or whatever in your within your medium as well?
Well, we have a little bit. Dan and I back up a guy named Tommy Gunn, a.k.a. Rob Bruce, a.k.a. Bobby Murderous from Murder Party. He's got a band. He's got a band called 78 RPM, and I drum in that, and Dan plays bass. So that's the thing. But we've also, with the Just Luckies, we wanted to work with Casey on our last album, and it just it didn't work out. Like, you know, we only had a year to make the record, so it was like impossible for things to work out. But we wanted to work with her. We wanted to work with Sam from Atmospheric Promotions.
The guys from Sailor Kicks want to do something. They want to do a split with us.
That would be cool too. Sailor Kicks.
There's been a lot of talk, but not a whole lot of do.
Yeah.
You know,
I
for
can understand
for-
that.
Nothing is solidified right now, but we're
I
definitely
hope so.
we're definitely up to working with other people. And then me and Dan do, you know, we back up Rob and his 78 RPM band, which is fun. We haven't gotten to work on that all year yet, but like, you know, Christmas and the holidays and all that.
Yeah, it's a weird time.
Yeah, it's a weird time. Oh yeah, it's Dan's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to
Happy
Dan.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm old.
Hey. Better old than dead, right?
It's true. You'll be there soon. Don't worry.
Mentally, I'm only like 8, so that's all right.
Yeah. Who is mature anyways?
Yeah.
I'm so mature.
It's not a matuma.
I'm even more mature than you.
So,
I'm also very humble.
That's a humble thing to say.
Very
I'm the most
humble.
humble motherfucker you ever met.
You are the humble fucker.
Don't question.
okay. Where did you get the idea of playing punk with a folk spin on it? If that's how you describe it, really.
Well,
Or
a lot of LSD, and then you know, I think, well, like, it all started with Dan's solo acoustic stuff, and I don't know, like, we had the first drummer was very punky in his style, like that's pretty much all he was interested in playing, and my bass was very distorted. And so it just kind of happened that way. Like, we wound up sounding kind of like a Dead Kennedys meets the Violent Femmes type of thing.
Yeah, because when I wrote the songs originally, they were all much slower. They were all very much slower. And just because, like Don said, it was just me writing it. And that's something that I like about this band, is that every time that we have somebody pick up a new instrument and start playing in it, it molds into something a little bit different. And yeah, it's become this acousticy, folky punk thing, you know. Plus, I just kind of like that genre of music, anyways.
Yeah, I don't think we realized this when we started the band, but like the folk punk thing really is kind of taking off, and it had been for a while, but we're, you know, just oblivious to what was cool. But bands like, you know, Andrew Jackson Jihad, it kind of brought the style more to, like, made the style a legitimate thing. Like, you know, we're not just some weird,
Or like Harley Poe.
Yeah,
Harley
Harley
Poe.
Poe.
Or
Ever heard of Wingnut Dishwashers Union?
no, but that's a great name.
Wow, what a great
This is-
name.
Yeah, this is another folk punk band. I recommend their album "Burn the Earth and Leave It Behind." Burn the Earth, Leave It Behind. That's the name of the album by Wingnut Dishwashers Union.
That's great. That is fantastic.
From what I can describe of it, imagine Sex Pistols meets folk, or whatever insert folk name here. Anyways, yeah,
I will check that out.
yes. Where would you say you draw inspiration from?
In the morning dew, after a long night. No, I don't know.
I thought I was the poet here.
I get a lot of inspiration just from observations. Just a lot of our music are a lot of different ways of me saying that humans are stupid. Like I don't hate people, but I don't like them either.
That is the best topic.
Yeah.
I've noticed like a couple of like on a couple of songs you tend to be a bit tend to go a bit political. Let me think. Isms is a bit one of those ones, I assume. How did you come up with? When did you write the song "Isms"? By the way,
Isms I wrote. I used to work with this kid who was very combative about his beliefs, and like it was like he would want to strangle you if you didn't believe what he believed in. Not physically, but just like verbally. He would just like, well, why not? Why don't you believe this? Why, And it just got really annoying. So what I do when I'm really annoyed is I don't punch people. I'll just write a song about them or something, and it makes me feel better. So I wrote this song about this kid, and he's the little god that I'm referring to, saying that like you have nothing to fear, accept everything this life will spawn and those you hold dear. Just that reality is going to be a harsh hit to this kid. But he's not a stupid person. Like, he's a very smart man. I don't want to belittle this guy at all, because he might know who I'm talking about if he ever heard this. Because he is a very smart person. It was just that we had this disagreement and we never saw eye to eye. And my whole way of venting about that is to write a song about it. So some of the things I write about are, blown out of proportion a bit, but it's for the sake of writing the song. But there's it's like a myth, or like an urban legend. There's part of it holds true.
Yeah.
It's spawned by something. But that's where a lot of my lyrics come from. It comes from something little like that'll happen to me in my life, or big, depending on how you look at it. And then it just spawns a lot of truth and nonsense at the same time, and I just put it all together.
Yeah. Cool, really. Yeah. That's a lot. I feel like that's a bit of how I write a couple of things. If you didn't know, one of the main things I do is I write short stories and poems, and I currently have an ongoing story called Idle, How I See Me. It's meant to be a trilogy, but I only have 3 chapters up, but in terms of stories. But anyways,
where is it? Where do you read it?
If you want to know, it's on Wattpad. I know.
It's on
Wattpad.
Wattpad?
Yeah. Imagine a website where you're supposed to write these multi-chaptered stories, but it ultimately is more often used to write One Direction fanfiction.
Oh, okay. You just send me a link sometime. You have, yeah. I will.
So,
I want to do this.
So yeah,
I'm a huge nerd, man. I mean, I love all this stuff. So
yeah.
just send me whatever you write. Faction, fiction, faction.
Yeah. That one's about celebrity idols. There's another story I wrote called Swinging on the Town Tree, where I guess I don't have shouldn't spoil it anyways, but it's about lynch mobs, but anyways.
Oh man!
Awesome.
Awesome.
I love it.
All right.
Love it.
Well,
Okay.
you're gonna send us.
Now
a
I'm
link.
intrigued, dude. Now I want to read this.
I'll send you links. I'll send you links soon. Let me see. Let me see. What roles do each of you play? would you say? Oh, well, this would technically have already been answered. Who writes? Who is the one who mainly writes lyrics and such when it comes to songs? And that'd be Dan. Okay. You and I assume you all just sort of start craft. Do you write the lyrics first, or does everyone play stuff first?
Generally, it's the song's pretty much at a complete idea, like a rough complete idea. So yeah, the lyrics are usually written first, but once I bring it to practice, some things might get thrown away, verses might get switched around, the way I sing it will get mixed around, but for the most part, there's a good general idea written before I bring it to them to play.
This sort of ties into the next question. What steps do you normally take when it comes to making your music, really? If you had to give a step-by-step, how would it usually go?
Step 1, LSD.
Great start!
Yeah.
Step 2, write a song in my head.
Yeah, usually Dan comes with songs that are at least have a verse and a chorus. You know, he'll usually have 2 or 3 chord progressions, which might be all the song it has. Our songs are usually pretty simple like that. We'll have a verse, a chorus, maybe a bridge, or like a breakdown. I'd say there are more bridges than breakdowns, but Dan will come with a really kind of a rough skeleton, and then we'll hang all the flesh and meat and gristle and organs. We'll hang all the juicy bits off of it. But his songs, he usually already has kind of a very rough structure or a very realized structure usually, and all we do is add our part to it.
Yeah.
But what you do is so good. It's so good.
And personally, me, I want to make the rhythm sections pretty much interesting and individually different, so they don't actually sound too similar. Try to mix it up offbeat, on beat, or fill in fills that are different.
Yeah. Okay, so not to sound like your college counselor in high school or anything, but where do you see yourself in the future?
Fatso Burger. No,
Future.
In the future, hopefully I am still just living life, man. I love playing music. It's a lot of good fun. I hope that things will happen for us, but I'm more about just having fun. So I'd like to see in the future, I'd like to see us all still playing music together and writing albums. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But I'm married and stuff, so I don't know, in the future I'll probably have a kid at some point.
Oh, you're married.
I am married. I'm married.
Married. Yeah. In addition to being in the band, I run a studio. In the last 6 months, it's become kind of a full-time job for me. I guess I have 2 part-time jobs. I run sound at a club, and I do the studio thing. And I guess if I had to decide the way my future goes, I'd like to continue to do that for more artists. Doing that full-time would be incredible. We'll see how it goes. I've been busier and busier. By the way, if you want to check my studio out, it's Knavish Audio. So you can find me on Facebook. And book a session. Record your musical masterpiece.
I personally would like to be a really good professor. I went to college for bachelor's on history, so I need a couple of years to become a professor or something like that. But also I want to do music as well and collaborate with other people and do other projects. And I hope that will go great.
Yeah, if anything, I hope we're all just playing music, because everybody in this band's a very good musician. So everybody should keep doing that, at least.
Yeah. Yes, you guys have to be one of my favorite bands that no one knows about.
Yay! Those are always my favorite bands, so now
yeah,
I'm one of
same
those
here.
bands. That
Same
makes
here.
me feel happy.
We're on our way though. In September, somebody was teasing us online on our friends page because we only had 9 monthly listeners on Spotify, and then by our album release, we had 35. And I don't know, it's funny. Our friends in Bong Mountain have thousands.
Yeah. God, yeah.
But everybody's got to start somewhere. As long as we're moving forward, I'm really happy with that. We're doing more stuff out of town, so we're playing out not just in Grand Rapids anymore, which is gonna help us grow. But I don't know, we haven't not made progress. Things have gone pretty well for us. People know who we are around here anyway, so that's cool. We're doing cool stuff.
Yeah, people seem to dance to it.
Yeah, when we played our album release at the Pyramid Scheme on Devil's Night with Murder Party and I Believe in Julio and Joe, the West Side Orchestra, and we were the first band, and there were already 100 people in the room or so, probably over 100 people. And when people sing your songs at you, and you're on a big stage, it's it's flattering and intimidating and scary and awesome and validating. It's wow, these people know our shit, and I can't hear myself sing my part because there's a bunch of drunk off-key people yelling it in my face, but it's great.
He doesn't know that's probably the best place to play in town as well.
Yeah, the Pyramid Scheme is a great venue to play. Yeah, probably the best place to play in town.
Yeah.
But I was gonna chime in while you were saying stuff, but you hit every point so perfectly.
So I would say it's easy to and safe to assume that you enjoy what you do. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So my question then is, what do you exactly enjoy about it?
I love these guys, and I love the community. I love playing shows, and I love playing music. All of it, really. The thing I hate the most about it, if that's a follow-up question, would be lugging the gear around. I hate it. I hate it.
We need a bus.
We have really heavy amps.
I have a lot of toms and drum parts.
Drum parts drum, pieces to the drum, but I was thinking different drum parts of the song.
Yeah, logistically we're a nightmare. I had for a year or so after I got an upright bass, I was Ubering to shows, and I'd have to call an Uber XL and then load this thing into some random person's vehicle and have them drive me out to a skate park or wherever the show happened to be. Because in our whole band we had 2 small cars, and a drum kit can take up the extra space in one of those cars. Add to that 2 guitar amps and a big clunky bass amp, and there's no room for the band anymore, let alone our pedals and our guitars. And actually, I'm going to be Ubering to shows again very soon because my van took a shit on me, meaning the transmission's dead on it. So,
No.
Yeah, so I'll be able to scrap my van and get a new set of upright strings. So that's. I'm going to look into if I can boil my strings to revitalize them on an upright the same way you can with electric bass strings, because that's they're ridiculously expensive.
Oh yeah, I play a cello. Those things usually cost somewhere around it's
$150 to $250 to $300 for a cello, and bass is same thing. It's not cheap.
That's for a full set you're talking about. That's how I'm. Yeah, those
They are very practical instruments in these regards, and I think it's because it's with the cello too, or violin, bass. these sorts of string instruments, it's not often that you see them in a rock band or in like a blue collar type of environment. It's often very, it's educated musicians, it's rich parents that are getting their kids cello lessons or something like that. Like, it's people with the means to like spend more. Like, my first guitar probably didn't cost as much as a set of bass strings would cost now, upright. Like, guitars are made in factories for the most part, and like a lot of people can play guitar as a hobby. There's not a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm looking for a new hobby. I'm gonna just drop $5,000 on a cheap bass. Like, if I was to buy like the nicest Gibson, well, not the nicest, but one of the nicer like Gibson Les Pauls or something like that, it would, the same amount of money I could spend on a really crummy upright bass. And like, they just don't make like, like a value set of upright bass strings. Like,
it's all or nothing.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
It's a very like very like you have to like take care with those things really when creating them. It's very it's the same thing with a cello. You could spend like I'm not sure how much is the cheapest kind of cello that is made of green wood or something like that. I think that may be like $1,000 or something like that. That's the cheapest end cello that you would probably be. That is probably even made of green wood, which is basically wood that hasn't been seasoned yet, as you know.
Like, a lot of times they'll make them out of like a plywood, like a composite wood. Like, my bass is made out of composite wood. It's not carved. But that's cool. I actually played cello too, and there's a little bit of cello on Braille. The first cello that I got was a carved wood cello, and I didn't know any better. I've been playing guitar for like 15 years or whatever, 15 plus years. And I had no idea about orchestral string instruments, and I brought it home in the winter, and about a month in, I come home, and it's like, why does my cello sound crappy? Like, it was loud, and like the low C, like when I bowed it, it would sound like a foghorn. It was really powerful. And then one day I get home from work and I'm doing it, and it sounded like someone was like strangling an anemic llama. And what had happened is the heater in my house, of course, dries out the air when it runs in the winter, and the moisture difference caused the front and back to shrink a little bit, which pulled on the sides, and the cello developed a crack in the side.
The seasons are rough on classical instruments.
Yeah, and I didn't know that I should have been, and I probably should have known. Should have done my homework a little bit, but like, I should have been running a humidifier in the room to keep my cello from cracking. But that was like sick and disgusting. But that actually led me to find a local place, Granary House, where I got the hookup on my bass. Which was really great. My bass, and I made the right choice, I think, with getting a bass that is not made out of carved wood, so it's a little bit more durable for the seasons. Like, that won't happen in a plywood bass, but like something that's made out of 4 or 5 pieces of carved wood is very fragile and very easily succumb to the elements.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found out about Granary House, and actually my bass has had one disaster already. I think Granary House saved my ass from that. Our old drummer never let the drummer load the van. Just never did it. Latte dog, promise me that. He loaded the van, and he put my bass amp, and I'm just gonna blast him on this. He put my bass amp in the van with the casters down.
Wait, which drummer is this again?
Well, he's not on any of our albums. We murdered him for this. But his name's Donnie. Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Yeah. Turning off onto the venue for a Halloween show in 2015, I think. yeah, he just made a fast turn, and so the bass amp, heavy ass amp, started to roll, and then when it bumped into like the pedal boards and like the smaller amps, it tips. And the head of my bass is a tube head, so it's rather heavy. Slides off my amp and punches a hole in the side of my bass. So Canary House, they had to like snap the top off the bass, and then they basically like fixed it using all the same wood, using like rosin and stuff and wood glue. They fixed it, and it's better now. Not better than it was, but it still plays good. Sounds more or less the same way it sounded before. And yeah, it's fixed. But oh man, never let Donnie Davis load the van.
No.
That's the moral of the story. But anyways, so you're not classically trained, am I correct?
No, not in the bass. I took band class, like throughout middle school, and I was in jazz band in high school. But like I don't, I didn't learn to play for an orchestra, and like it would take me hours to cipher a simple thing that was written in bass clef, because I never learned to read bass clef. I learned treble clef. Yeah. And so it'd take me forever to learn like a simple melody. I'd have to like, it was weird.
Yeah.
I understand theory behind things. I'm just not. I couldn't sit down and sight read a piece like. They're not going to pick me to play bass for Les Mis anytime soon.
Me taking cello lessons, classically trained for like since I was 8. If you need to know, I'm 17 now. It's pretty easy for me to pretty much just figure out what notes is which, but I always learn better from hearing it first.
Yeah. Personally, I come from like a musical family, and they also were not like trained or anything, but they play pretty much like how they like to play music, just by themselves ear. And I've learned from my father and my uncle, and they're both like my father. He grew up playing accordion. My uncle played drums, so I got a lot of drum influence from my uncle, and then later my dad showed me different rhythms and like styles of music. I come from Europe, Balkan area, which is more like Eastern European music and Middle Eastern influence with the tab of like gypsy.
Interesting.
So that kind of influenced me a lot of like rhythm sections and grooves. So it's more danceable and easy to play, and you can have like a really good party out of it. But yeah, like, and listening to different genres helped me, like from punk, metal, hip hop, and dance music of sorts. So it kind of brought my variety of different rhythm sections and grooves, and I just like a lot of like a pumped up energy feel to when it comes to music, especially in this band. There's a lot of like very high tempo, pumped up kind of. You can have a good time, drink, and whatever party.
It's like if Andrew WK got on stage and just played an acoustic guitar.
I'm everybody's best friend.
Let me see, what other questions could I ask?
That's one.
One down on a good progress.
Oh, I know. Oh, sorry, were you saying something?
How many people listen to your podcast?
I'm not certain. Let me see. If I just check my thing right here.
You can just rough ballpark it. I mean, you don't have to be on spot.
I'm not certain how many regularly, but
Yeah,
probably 2. If there's anyone regularly, 2. At the very... I'm just new. I only recorded 2 episodes before this one, and my first episode got a lot of plays because, well, the person who I did had us promoted it a little bit. Well, by a lot of plays, I mean 37 plays.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah. So I don't know exactly how many people are actually listening to my podcast regularly now. I don't think it's established enough, I guess you could say.
This is our second podcast we've done. Like a year ago, me and Dan.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing something along this lines. I think it was like a Grand Rapids like underground thing or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Completely. No, that's the famous one.
It was called Get Into Character.
Yeah, get into character.
Yeah. Two guys from a band called Murder Party had us on, and we just. I don't know. We talked about like comic books and stuff.
And cheese.
We played a song. Oh yeah, we talked about cheese a lot.
A lot of cheese puns.
Yeah, I made all my best cheese jokes.
Oh, speaking of comic books, segueing into one of the final questions, I would say, if I can't ask any more after this one. What content do you consume regularly, would you say?
Oh, jeez. Well, I don't listen to it every week, but I catch up and binge. I do Neil deGrasse Tyson's Star Talk. I love that podcast. This American Life, I'm addicted to. I also try to keep up on every Radio Lab I really love. Try to keep up on that. And listen to a lot of Song of Ice and Fire on Audible. I've got all of those. It's not really a podcast, but let me tell you, if you want to hear Roy Dotrice read to you a George R. R. Martin book for hours and hours and hours on end, I do that all the time.
Does that be a podcast?
Oh, kind of like a podcast. I don't know. It's like it's listening to something.
It doesn't have to be a podcast that you have to mention. I said content, so just in general, like YouTube videos, books, comics, music, all those kinds of things. The whole shebang.
Oh, the whole shebang, man. We could be talking a long time.
Yeah, like you found us because I was commenting on Glenn Fricker's thing, the Spectre Media Group stuff.
Yeah.
I love watching his YouTube channel, as well as like Preston Jacobs. Fatty was the first person I ever knew to like binge watch YouTube, and
yeah, I watched the Angry Video Game Nerd a lot. So
I've
been a huge
I
fan
also
of his.
watch Anthony Fantano, Busy Music Nerd.
Oh, the best teeth in the game.
I just like his reviews about albums and artists because he has a very a good way of describing as like a listener, but also like he said like he's been like in punk bands and he kind of knows what he thinks about music, and every time he does a review of it, he like from a band that I don't know personally or something that I know, and it takes a lot of like intake of like what a listener or like even a musician ourselves would think of what a good record of the album. And he also has his like worst and best, so it pretty much brings out like a good point for me to like, okay, I'm definitely going to listen to this.
Yeah, I occasionally check into his album reviews. I am subscribed. I've subscribed to his other channel as well. That is the plan.
I think he's like a dick to music, but it's like that's just being critical.
Yeah. I mean, kind of what makes things fun. I mean, people are so easy to, basically suck each other's dick on the internet. Like, no one. I mean, like, I'm not saying like people should just always say mean shit all the time, but like, if something's not good or if it's just okay, like people, should feel
like it's okay that it's okay.
It's not everybody has to like
just
everything.
Just explain it or be persuasive about it. Like, why is this or that? So it could be like, I don't know, have more info to it, like, or perspective, or like what are they like actually hearing? Like, what it gets them.
Yeah, and like with Glenn Fricker, like it's some of the funniest shit when Glenn is pissed off at something and goes nuts.
Like microphones, especially.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
How to hold a microphone. Like, Glenn hits the nail on the head with so much of that shit. Like, I run sound on the weekends, and, like, just about every time there's a metal band and the singer does not play guitar, he holds the microphone wrong, and like it makes shit feedback. It just does, like, and everybody that holds a microphone like that is doing it because they think it makes them look cool. Like, it's like
you're deep throating a microphone.
Yeah.
You mean like and deep throating the microphone like Leafy is here? Hey guys, what's up, guys? Literally a 27-year-old man.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. You know, it's like one of those things. Like, you know, I can tell that Glenn's been doing that shit for a long time.
Yeah.
Going to shows for a long time because, like, it just happens. Like, if someone holds the mic like that, it causes the monitors to feed back right into the mic. And it's like, it's really easy to do. You just have to hold the mic wrong, and all of a sudden you'll get crazy amounts of feedback.
Have you?
And those singers are always like, "Hey, I'm feeding back for some reason. hey, this mic's feeding back. Can you turn it up?
Have you?
Can't hear me enough." And it's like, stop doing that.
So you've done live sound before, am I correct?
Yeah, I do about 3 shows a week at Mulligan's Pub in GR. It is like probably the second best place in Grand Rapids to play. Yeah.
For Glenn Fricker, going back to Glenn Fricker, what I'm currently using to record this podcast, I probably should get my hands on some sort of condenser mic. Currently, I'm using a dynamic mic, the Samson CS capsules, the Samson Capsule Select. I got that off of his video, really. Yeah, it's a pretty good microphone, and I really enjoy it. It was pretty much like the reason why I decided to roll with it for the podcast is pretty much like it was the only microphone I had for the first episode because I decided, you know what, I want to make this podcast, but I'm not going to wait until I am back in Cape Cod. It was like I was actually in Bermuda at the time when I recorded the first episode, so I had to use a tabletop mic stand that I would balance on a djembe along with my Behringer UM2 audio interface, which I'm currently using as well. And that would be on my couch arm, and I would essentially have my laptop in my lap reading off the questions and such.
Gotta make it work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
you gotta make
like
it work.
For your Samsung, I mean, you sound. I'm sure we sound like we're coming through like an old gramophone recording compared to what you got going. We're all sitting around my laptop, and like I'm sure you can hear us all, but like we're probably not very high def. And you know, like I think as long as you know you're getting the information across, it's probably cool. The thing with microphones is there's a microphone out there for every budget, so like there's a lot of expensive shit out there. So you gotta be careful that you don't buy one that is maybe not
Worth the price.
$200. Yeah, like yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, what were we talking about again? Content, right? Content. But we were still talking. We were talking about content. Yes. What?
Yeah, like,
Anyone else want to chime up? Anyone else got the Leafy reference?
you ever see JonTron?
I have seen JonTron. I'm subscribed to JonTron.
Yeah, I like JonTron. I keep up on JonTron.
Yep. I watch a lot of gaming videos, GameSack, and things of that nature.
GameSack.
I sometimes occasionally watch these political videos sometimes, but a lot of the channels that tend to talk about like those channels that essentially go after the low-hanging fruit of like the crazies of the crazies. You're familiar? I'm not exactly. I'm wary to use the term anti-SJW, really.
No, that's a huge thing, and I feel like
that's
ever since Gamergate, like these like jerk nerds have been nuts, and like they're everywhere.
It's just
and
people on the internet, though.
yeah, it's troll ass motherfuckers on the internet. And
also that are triggered and don't know.
Yeah, a bunch of them go after the low-hanging fruit and try to take them all at very face value, which I find is just kind of boring, honestly.
Yeah.
There are some people who do it great, like I recommend Chris Ray Gun, by the way, and then there are some people who are just so boring. Quit repeating my opinions to my ears. You don't know. You're so boring about this. Anyways, let me see. What other channels do I watch? Oh, if you ever want to feel depressed, check out Mama Max. Yes.
Right. I find myself often wishing I was more depressed.
Right? A lot of people watch cat videos on the internet. I watch a lot of videos of like cats getting punched in the face.
Complete depression.
I watch a lot of reaction videos and see how people are having like weird reactions about it.
I don't watch.
I don't watch that at all. I try to watch people's opinions on a lot of stuff unless there's humor involved, because I don't really care about their honest opinion. They make characters out of it, and that's more interesting.
Yeah. It's weird. Talk shows can. I don't know if the modern talk show is going to be a thing, but replaced by the video podcast online, like Joe Rogan and people like that, like basically do what Howard Stern does, only they're doing it from their bedrooms and their garages and stuff.
Yeah.
And they get tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of subscribers, coming in every day to hear what Joe Rogan thinks about what Donald Trump said yesterday or whatever. It's kind of interesting. See how media has moved along in that respect.
You might not be as deep into YouTube as I am, but you know what Baited is?
Baited? No.
It's
Baited.
Baited is the podcast started by, if you know these names, call out. Colossal is Crazy, Keemstar, and Tommy C.
Don't know.
Okay, so to summarize, Keemstar is essentially a news channel that basically reports on mostly Twitter beef between YouTubers. Colossal is one among the most respected of the commentary community-ish, who makes these highly edited. I'm trying to figure out a way to describe them. They're not exactly rant videos, but more along the lines of just videos. They tend to just I don't know. I can't really. I'm having a hard time really describing it, really. And Tommy C, who was the one I wanted to actually talk about in reference to talk shows, was originally a hockey commentator before getting picked up by Colossal and Keemstar to make the Baited podcast. Ever since then, Colossal and Tommy C had a falling out with Keemstar. If you want, you can just research this entire thing. Just look them up. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty deep in this. So, yeah, Tommy C.
That sounds like just watching the YouTube video on beef between people on YouTube already. It's like so meta that I can't handle it.
Yeah,
Do you have any YouTube beefs? Like, is there somebody that you'd like to shout out beef to?
Not yet.
All right. Let us know, and we will fuck that guy up.
Yeah.
Let us know.
We're gonna get on their channel.
Let
We're gonna
us
thumb
know,
down all their
we'll
videos.
supply the beef.
Please, I don't want to already have a hate mob. I don't want to have mindless fans already.
Hey, at least people hate you. They know about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Any-
true. There's such thing
Especially
as
on
bad
YouTube.
publicity. There, I said the right word.
Oh yeah, funny. Keemstar especially knows that one. Anyways, let me think. Oh yes, so Tommy C. He currently does a stream every day essentially called Shot from the Point Live, I guess it's called.
Boy!
Or
Live.
wait, or was it Dead? Shot from the Point, Dead or Alive? I think I cannot remember which one. I think it's Shot from the Point Dead where he talks about YouTube, and Shot from the Point Live where he talks about hockey. But if anyone wishes to call me out, to the listeners of this podcast, all two of you, feel free to call me out. Anyways, yeah, so he does this essentially every day. It's sort of like a talk show format. He has a bunch of guests that he normally brings on, like in Dead on Dave until recently, where they basically just talk about whatever, really. It's essentially a talk show stream about YouTube. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Anyways, so I just found that interesting about the talk show thing. I find that in terms of the radio play, that's essentially being replaced by podcasts now, I would say.
Yeah,
That's a fair assumption?
I'd say podcasts are the new radio. More people probably listen to podcasts than they do radio these days.
Yeah.
There just needs to be some way to get all these awesome things that are on the internet, all these podcasts, like, easily to people's cars driving around. Like, that'd be no one would listen to, like, dumbass, mainstream, clear channel radio, I don't think, if they could listen to what they really wanted to listen to. Even people who have, like, a middling fascination with music or news or whatever, like, they wouldn't be stuck with top 40 stations if they could hone in on the stuff that they really like. And I know that satellite radio is a thing, but it's not something that you can have if you've got a $500 car, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I swear, they, on the Cape, they have, like, they, like, play the same, like, 20 songs over and over again on shuffle in, like, a playlist or something like that. And it's usually somewhere between, hit songs of 2 years ago to, hit songs of now.
Oh, yeah, and it's, like, it's kind of the worst thing, clear channel radio stations, like, you won't hear, like, even if you have a band that's pretty good, chances, and like they've got a hit song, chances are, like, the real material that they're really proud of isn't like their one hit song, like.
Yeah.
That's just radio, like.
I mean, it's not like Pandora or Spotify. You can just listen to random artists.
It'd be awesome though the day that like something like Spotify is like standard in people's cars, and they can be like, hey, I've got my playlist, or I've got my station, and I got my shit that I like. And like, they could maybe use the software to tailor what's being fed to them via their taste. So
You're
like
saying
Pandora,
like without like a phone, like
without a phone,
Yeah.
like like.
I think
But I guess like it's really rare that someone doesn't have a phone these days.
That's
Like,
true.
I just got a cell phone
I think
again.
that's gonna happen now. It's just like you have apps
Yeah.
installed in cars.
Yeah.
And like 30 years, like the AM FM radio will probably be like a weird, outdated thing, like your
You could say thing about
like an 8-track.
TV
Yeah.
channels.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. What music would you say you all listen to? Any particular bands or genres?
well,
I like metal.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've listened a lot of like punk and metal, but like as of now, like about years, I've been attracted to more hip hop and R&B. Just like a various of artists that have a different style of
Yeah.
doing.
I feel like I'm I'm similar. For a while, like 2 years ago, I would have dismissed hip hop and R&B as like trash. And now I'm just, and before then, it was pretty much like, and that's what I listened to mainly. And then but it was the really trashy mainstream stuff, really.
It's the one, but like the ones I recently listened to was like from SoundCloud artists, Bandcamp,
Yeah,
stuff.
all those kinds of people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I was definitely really quick to dismiss hip hop and R&B too, because it's just music that was coming from a place that like had nothing to do with me and who I was. You know, like I was from a small rural town in Michigan. You know, and I wasn't particularly wealthy. I didn't have bling. I didn't know what a whip was, let alone how to ghost ride one. And like to me, I thought. I just didn't understand what all this stuff was about, you know, and there wasn't like a hip hop artist that I knew of that I heard that like really like connected to me, and like, you know,
The Beastie Boys.
Yeah, the Beastie Boys are cool.
We're old, so
yeah,
the Beastie Boys were a thing.
Yeah,
like with me being the young one, I remember listening to T-Pain, T.I., Lil Wayne, Kanye, so I pretty much grew up on that 2000s.
Yeah. And so, like, you know, when I was younger, I wasn't super into the hip-hop stuff, but, like, I don't know, like, there's definitely some stuff that I can get into now, and, like, for nostalgia value, you know, when I hear stuff like old Tupac and stuff, it's like, oh, this reminds me of all the songs that played at my high school dances that I hated.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, now it's like, I don't hate it anymore, you know, and, like, even hip-hop artists that I like to listen to now, like Clipping, for one, is a
yes.
really interesting one.
Like,
Splendor and Misery.
That's
Yeah.
Clips.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, David Diggs, he's a genius, you know, and, like, in terms of, like, technical ability, you know, I'm really into stuff like Yes and King Crimson and Animals as Leaders, and I definitely like music that is challenging for the listener and for the player, you know. And when you hear David Diggs and Clipping, like, going so fucking fast, but he's so articulate and so precise, you know, like, it's to me, it's like the opposite of hearing Lil Yachty, who is, you know, not necessarily
I kind of just like that guy just for how goofy he sounds. He's almost like a parody. That guy,
like Ice JJ Fish, and like you can't steal Ice JJ's thing, man. Ice JJ is a force of nature.
I don't know any of these names.
Ice JJ Fish, you don't know?
No, I haven't recognized any of the names you guys have been saying for like the last.
Have you ever heard of Filthy Frank, going back to YouTube?
No.
We don't like YouTube that much.
Filthy Frank is a very vulgar kind of humor guy, satirical kind of thing. Just like
Is it like that pink guy with Pink Season?
Yes.
now I understand what that is.
It hit #1 in multiple countries. That album.
Wow. Yeah, it's weird. You find out how diverse the world's musical tastes are when you're reading like Bathroom Reader, and you find out that like Liza Minnelli is the best-selling artist in Iran ever. It's like, what?
Oh
Really? Her? And she is. She's the top.
Use your magic with up and that button.
Hmm.
Right now you have the hook, which is the best one in battle.
Oh my god. So right now the guys are playing Shovel Knight. Do you know this game?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with it. I think it's on my Steam wish list.
Oh yeah, on Steam, yay!
Are you on the Latte Dog on there?
Yes, I am the Latte Dog on there as well.
I will. I'm gonna find you, man. I'm gonna find you.
Was that an Antoine Dodson reference?
That was just me talking.
They're gonna find you. They're gonna find you.
Anyway, let me think.
So, what games are you playing on Steam?
I haven't been. I haven't been playing many games, honestly. I really want to play more games. I think the last game I played was Undertale.
I've always wanted to
I
play that.
still have not. Yeah.
Damn, press start.
Is it?
Oh my god, press start. Okay.
God damn it, you should.
Undertale.
I heard it's great.
Is that the same people that made?
That's this one dude.
Uh,
He's his only game.
Toby Fox is the creator of Undertale. He scored Homestuck, the webcomic.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And it's got like different, like 1,000 different endings, right? Like,
Yeah, it's
Mostly 3, really. Well, technically 1,000 if you count all the different forms of the regular ending, really. But 3 main ones, essentially.
All right. Cool.
And outside of that, I can't tell you anything.
All right.
Yeah, I
don't
haven't
spoil
played
it.
it.
Yeah, this is one of those games you definitely want to go in blind for.
Yeah. Steam is incredible, man. It really is. Like,
Sometimes it gets me steamed.
I like to get all steamy.
Yes. One game that I have on my that I have bought, and I really want to play it, but I just haven't been finding the time to do it. So, is the Beginner's Guide.
I have not.
I don't know that one.
This is the same guy who made the Stanley Parable.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's about a guy. I think the plot goes, it's about a guy named like Coda. It's about a guy named Coda, and they are trying to like figure out why he made, trying to like interpret his games, and he made these sort of weird games, and they wanted to, and the narrator is trying to interpret them and such.
Gotta decoda them.
Yeah. If you're familiar with classic music notation, coda, you would know what coda is.
Oh yeah, DSL Coda.
Yes.
It's just their way of saying turn back to bar number something. I love all the weird Italian words.
Yeah, Italian. Well, Italian was the language of music essentially back then.
Yeah, I'd like to ask them why there's no note in between B and C though. Like seriously, why not? Or E and F? Like why isn't there an E sharp?
It is an E sharp. It's called an F.
Yeah, I know. You know what I mean though. Like you've got F sharp, which is between F sharp and G, but there's nothing actually in between F and E. We'd call it a quarter tone. Like in Western music, it doesn't exist.
I think at that point you're getting into semitones, which is like where it gets weird after that or something like that. Like,
Yeah, like sitar, you might have
like
that.
a sitar.
But it's weird. Like you can hear it, and like if you play like guitar, a string instrument, like you can bend, or like with cello, like you can finger in between those two things. I just said fingers.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you can go.
What happened to that maturity?
Yeah. Yes, it's very
maturity. All that.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like,
above your head.
but I would always laugh in band camp when you'd see the word retardando. And it just means slow down, but it's like, haha, retard. So, we don't laugh at that anymore.
Yes.
Retort.
I see.
A rhetorical question.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Let me think. Is there anything else? Well.
Oh, man. I just got an email from our landlord at the studio. They're replacing the door, and now we have to use a different door.
Ooh. Oh, no.
The shit out of fire magic
Yep.
against him.
All right.
What?
Well, Latte Dog, we've got band practice that we gotta get started.
Yeah, I was just about to. Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming on to this, and I had a lot of fun talking to you guys. You guys were great.
It's cozy in this podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Anyways, check out Bet on Rats, everyone, and I'll have their links in the description of this podcast, and it will be up on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. And I will see you in the next one. Okay then.